The queue I was now trapped in moved slowly and in lockstep, despite much bumping and shoving and other underhand acts of aggression. But once past the entrance, things came to a standstill. There was no place to go, no way past the bodies bottlenecking the doorway to the lecture room within, and no way past the bodies piling in thick and fast from the rear. There was only one solution to the obstruction, and we, the entitled mob, went for it. Heaving and hoeing, we stormed the inner entrance as one big battering ram until a sudden body slam sent me clear past the bottleneck and into the room. I was in. Standing room only didn't describe the half of it. People were sharing chairs, leaning against walls, hogging every square inch of available floor space. I looked around helplessly and caught the eye of another festival guest who gestured to the half-hidden empty seat next to his. Running the gauntlet of knees and book bags blocking the way, I grabbed it. A chorus of loud shh called for silence. An obedient hush descended, lasting only a moment. Then Aung San Suu Kyi came through the door, a vision in silk the color of old polished silver, and the audience gasped and rose to their feet. The Burmese word for a certain kind of charisma is oza. A person in possession of oza exudes authority without the need to exert power or force in any overt way. In trying to capture the oza of a person who brings an audience, any audience, to its feet just by entering a room, I am reminded of Turgenev's example of a less is more approach to narrative description. "Do you remember," he wrote, "the way Homer conveys Helen's beauty? With these simple words, 'When Helen walked in, at the sight of her beauty, old men rose to their feet.'" Old men reportedly rose to their feet when Aung San Suu Kyi entered the courtroom, to which she was once summoned during her long imprisonment. Old men in military garb, who nevertheless went on to prolong her incarceration for yet another indefinite term. The applause died down only after Daw Suu and her interviewer, Joan Bakewell, had settled into their seats. My own seat did not allow a frontal view of the speakers. Disappointingly, it was placed at a 45-degree angle to the rear. But never mind, I could at least admire the faint ikat print on the silk of Daw Suu's matching longji ainji and her shawl, and her signature hair ornament of fresh flowers, blood-red roses in this instance. 3 years had passed since Aung San Suu Kyi's release from house arrest. In the meantime, she had toured the world making speeches and collecting awards she hadn't been able to accept during her years under detention. The 1991 Nobel Peace Prize, for instance, and her once rare interviews had lost some of their novelty. This one was proceeding more or less as expected, a repertoire of respectful questions countered with a repertoire of stock answers, by turns pithy and dismissive. Asked about the writers she admired, the lady, as she was popularly known at the time, named some of her old college favorites, among them Charles Dickens and Jane Austen. No mention was made of any Burmese writers, past or present, or absent. A number of established writers, from both Yangon and Mandalay, had boycotted the festivals on grounds of discrimination or disrespect, or both, by the British festival organizers. But of this contretemps, the festival's Burmese patrons seemed unaware. Then came the obligatory interview question of a thorny nature, the matter of escalating anti-Muslim violence stoked by Burmese Buddhist fundamentalists. The lady's response was short, sharp, and ecumenical. "Christians misbehaved too," she said. I was having trouble concentrating on the interview because the scrimmage outside had left me with a headache. I felt a migraine coming on. The dread signs were impossible to ignore. Nausea.